Good morning, everybody. Clint Remington. I'm one of the operations trainees with Southwest Team 2. I'll be going over what was accomplished yesterday on the fire and kind of the plan for today. So, starting out in Branch 2, kind of the southeast side of the fire here. Really solid work the last couple days. A lot of this echo stuff, pretty tough country to get folks into, but fire behavior has been pretty mellow. So, a lot of this on the southeast corner we're observing by aerial, so either with drones, UAS, or by the operations folks flying it in helicopters and getting a good look at it, and folks on the ground high pointing, getting an eye on things. But so far, all of this out on the southeast side of the fire is looking actually really, really good. We'll continue to monitor that. The one thing we are really paying attention to is the middle fork of the Sequoia. So fire has slowly kind of been backing down the last couple days into that country, and we're keeping a close eye on it because if it does decide it wants to come across the middle fork there, we'll have some opportunities. If it does reverse slope and decide to start kind of coming up towards the giant forest grove, that's where all the work we've done, the team previous to us, the last couple weeks is going to become very important. We've had a very large effort on protecting the giant sequoias, old park headquarters type stuff, old historic buildings. So a lot of effort has gone into the giant forest grove. So that's going to be a priority for us. We'll have structure group 1 in there today, remaining with a bunch of engines and crews. So they'll kind of keep shoring some of that up. A lot of hose lays, engines, things like that wrapped in there. So feeling very good about the giant forest grove. So coming around to the north in Lodgepole, you can see we talk about containment. It's gone up a little bit every day, a little bit every day. So you're going to see that going forward. Like I talked about on yesterday's update, we really take containment very seriously. What we don't want to happen is to breeze by something and say, yeah, it looks good. And then something decides it wants to happen and come out on a piece that we've called contained. And we take that very, very seriously. So we don't call something contained and put this black on the map unless we are confident that we're leaving it in good shape and it's truly a contained piece of line. So you can see that around Lodgepole. And that's due to the focus in there the last couple weeks of really securing that fire edge direct with hand crews, engines, helicopter bucket drops, things like that. They've spent a lot of work just west of Lodgepole on the fire perimeter to get that secure. So we feel very good about Lodgepole at this point. Coming around to the northeast side of the fire, we'll continue to walk that line direct up with folks on the ground checking that. We'll be doing it by air, by trying to get folks in where we can, but a lot of this coming down the Twin Lakes Trail, this is like 3-4 hour hike in, it's miles and miles to get in there. So we've been very cautious about who we're sending in there for how long and the conditions. The last few days it's been really socked in as you get up in elevation with smoke. And that can give us issues. If somebody were to get hurt, something happens, how are we going to get them out? And those are things we talk about, risk management, before we insert people into an area. It's very tough when you're in that backcountry and you're reliant on aircraft. You'd have to land in and extract somebody, short haul somebody out. So we're kind of surgically putting people in to take a look at things, hotshot crews and stuff going in that are used to that country. They can handle it. They've got very well experienced in getting folks out if they get hurt. So we'll continue to look at this northeast corner. As you get a further out on the northeast side of the fire, the fuel's on the ground. We had some modeling done yesterday. I don't want to say scabby, that's kind of a term we use, but the fuels are very broken. It's not a continuous pine stand where fire can easily navigate through. It's kind of broken countries, which means the fire, it may creep around a little bit in there, but it's not going to make any huge sustained runs or anything like that. So we'll have folks in there looking at some of that and trying to wrap around to the west and connect to Division Papa. So Division Papa, you might see some containment additionally in here in Halstead, but they've been working very hard the last couple days coming east of the General's Highway along to the Papa Lima Gulf break. And so what that means is they're going in direct with crews where they can get them in to really make sure hand lines are in place, that they've been doing mop up, they've been using helicopters to support them, and crews are going in and making sure this line is all straight and good, and we're leaving it in good shape to prevent any north spread on the fire. We really want to keep this stuff where it is if possible. On this north piece of the fire east of General's Highway. So feeling good about that. Good day yesterday. We'll continue to do that today and going forward. West of the General's Highway on Division Papa, we'll still have folks in here trying to go direct where they can, putting direct hand line on the fire perimeter. but we're also looking at options. You can see we really don't like this in fire and tactics. We don't like fingers and not a straight edge. It makes it difficult. You can turn, you know, what looks like a mile on the map, when you walk all this stuff, turns into 5 miles very easily. So we like nice straight lines. It's easier to prevent fire spread if we've got a straight line. So they're looking at some options in there, how to put direct hand line in. Should the need arise, should we have to implement it, small burnout operations to kind of straighten all that up and give us a straight edge. So they'll be looking at that today. You know, that structure group 1 I talked about working in Giant Forest, they've been a huge help. Multiple task forces of engines. We're going to have a task force dedicated in Giant Forest, in the Lost Grove, in Muir Grove, up in Redwood Mountain Grove today. You know, that's, when we came in, and us in general, you know, our number one objective is the communities and the people surrounding the fire area. How do we best protect them? How do we protect their homes, their livelihood, you know, their safety? And that's where we have had a very large focus, you know, on Three Rivers, making sure that Heartland's in good shape, all the surrounding smaller communities, Lodgepole, that we're doing our best to make sure that those are secure first, that we feel good about that. We've got the structure protection in place to protect them should something happen with the fire. And we've, you know, the team before us had 2 weeks doing that. We've been here the last couple days, and we're feeling very good about where we're at. So starting to kind of refocus efforts. We're not going to forget about that. We'll still have folks in those communities, but really starting to kind of refocus some of our efforts into the groves, making sure we'll be working with resource advisors that are local, that work for the park, and they'll be able to kind of guide us and re-look at some of this stuff and say, what else can we do in here? We've done a lot. What else can we do to try to ensure that we're protecting those giant sequoias as best we can? So we'll have a lot of effort going forward the next couple days, making sure we're spending a lot of time in the groves and protecting the trees as best we can. So coming around into Division Sierra, they've spent a lot of time on all these contingency lines. You can see on the map, dozer lines, connecting trails, multiple options in here. Coming around the General's Highway as well to secure some of that stuff. So you know, we have got pumpkins, which look like huge pumpkins with 3,000 gallons of water in there to support engines as they're going down. We've got just stuff everywhere as far as infrastructure to support fire operations along the General's Highway. So feel very good about that. But the intent for us is really to try to keep the fire from going north of the North Fork. The reason for that is we don't want fire spread having to come up anywhere towards the Red Mountain Grove into Heartland. So you're going to see the next couple days me talk about it, but a large effort with folks going direct from this X-ray Sierra break working east. They've got in here a little ways. They're feeling pretty good about it. But as you can see, the fire's getting very close to backing down to that North Fork. So they're coming up with some plans, should we need it, to aerial ignite some of this to straighten this out like I was talking about over here, give us a nice straight backing line of fire so nothing gets wonky and realigned to make any large runs. So looking at that really hard. You know, but if it does get across North Fork, that's what we're really looking at. We keep talking about contingencies. We use what's called a PACE model. Primary, contingency, emergency, alternate lines, and that kind of gives us and the operations folks on the ground multiple options. Okay, we want to make sure it doesn't cross North Fork. If it does, what's our next option? What's our next option? So the good thing about the North Fork, if it does get across, still trying to keep it south, but if it does, lots of dozer lines, 2 tracks, connected trail systems, the work they've done in there, and just natural features. You've got Baldy, the face of Baldy in there, not a lot of fuels in that. So they're looking at that today as they're flying and folks on the ground, as well as trying to keep this direct. A lot of this is going to be a lot of bucket work with helicopters and hotshot crews, et cetera, walking in to make sure they're trying to keep it from crossing North Fork today. So large effort in Sierra. We've pumped 5 additional hotshot crews between Papa and Sierra to try to shore this up, give us the most amount of flexibility and time with resources we've got. So a lot going into Sierra. So coming down into X-ray and Zulu over in branch 3, we do what's called an IR flight every night, infrared, and so they fly at like 15,000 feet. They've got FLIR cameras so they can pick up heat signatures along a fire edge. And a lot of it is looking pretty good on this whole west side of the fire. And, you know, some of that is the brushier fuel model like I talked about yesterday. The fire's kind of parked itself the last couple days, and we've had folks go in and work that fire perimeter with helicopters and crews. So we've kind of pinned it down in here the last few days. So the heat signatures are slowly fading for us day by day. That being said, there still is some isolated pockets of heat along this, and we'll continue the next couple days to have folks in there working the helicopters and folks on the ground to make sure we prevent any more westerly spread from the fire, so we don't have to implement any of our contingency lines, but they're there if we need them. So feeling very good about X-ray. A lot of hose in there. We're talking probably 10 plus miles of hose that they've got at some point that we'll have to take out when we feel good about it. So coming around into Structure Group 1 and Division Alpha, or sorry, Structure Group 2 and Division Alpha above Three Rivers. There was a little bit of heat still up above the headquarters, above Ash Mountain. They worked some of that yesterday with helicopters in an acre or two kind of inside the perimeter there. So they've got that shored up. They feel very good about that, but we'll still have a very large focus of structure protection and engines in Three Rivers to make sure we're good there. So they're about done with everything. They're just fine-tuning some stuff in Three Rivers, moving some things around and making sure we've got everything set there. So overall, it's been a busy couple days on the fire, but we're making progress every day. Feel really good about where we're going. The weather's changing a little bit. You guys will hear it on the weather update, but we've had a couple days of really good humidity, overnight recovery, which has really aided the firefighting efforts. You know, we're in for a little shift. It's going to get a little warmer, drier, so winds will change a little bit, but I think we're ready for it. So we'll continue to do our best for you guys, and I appreciate it, and have a great day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.